I'm recording. Right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. Today is, just another day, except for I have a very special guest and my dear friend, my soul sister, what can I say, many lifetimes together, Miss Kimberly Palm. Hello, Kimberly, how are you? Love you in your red
very
today.
Tired. Oh, thanks. I did this because I had 2 hours of sleep and I needed something to wake me up. So I did the red and it matched the picture back there of
Yes,
Miriam of Magdala. Holding her what is that thing called? The Holy Grail.
The chalice. I always call it a chalice.
It's a golden chalice, but it's supposed to be the Holy Grail, and it has lightly, you can't see it from here, but it's got light language written all over it. And it's representing the fact that she is the Holy Grail, but that's another story for another day.
Well, it goes very well together. So I'm sorry you didn't get a lot of sleep. I know that that's a theme for many of us right now because we're traveling, we're doing so much work. And as we talked about before pre-recording, I'm getting more memories of mine. You've had them for a while. So let's talk about stuff today.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. That's another thing that's coming up is such dehydration that it's dry throat.
For me,
it's
I'm
everything.
Clear with the crystal. I'm actually having an allergy thing. I think I breathed in some dust.
Drink away.
I have an allergy to dust mites, and I think I had some
slept
dust
too long
around. I just sucked in a bunch of dust, and it's still making it tickle in my throat. If I have to run off of here and get some Benadryl, I'll let you know. I mean, let's pray that my throat is clear. Clear.
We can stop and restart.
Clear. Okay.
You want to stop and restart? Good. Okay.
No, I'm good. It's okay.
Right.
You have to see that I'm a normal person. I'm not like a super being or something. I have allergies. I choke. I'm normal.
You're human. you're in a human body having
I'm
human
in a
experiences.
Human body. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we were talking about our travels and our dreams. We're talking about just so many things coming up physically with energy, how we're feeling about it, timelines jumping all over the place. So 1 minute it's here, the next minute it's there, or sometimes I've actually had it where it seems like hours have gone by and there's only 15 minutes on the clock. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's happening.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things happening. So first of all, we have timelines that are shifting. We've got multiple hundreds of infinite timelines that are really bad that were created by the bad guys that are running the planet. We've been going, the light workers and earth angels have been working for years now to shut down all the bad timelines. I think I know I started doing this back in 2011, 2010, somewhere like that. And do it all the time at night where we're going into different timelines and closing them down. They're what I call bad timelines. Like I used to have some where bad ETs came down with ships all around the planet and were blowing everything to smithereens all over the planet. I had nuclear war ones, all kinds of really bad timelines that I had to go shut down. And then on top of that, ever since the Ascension started happening, and especially since 2019, 2020, when we had a huge shift, the time is sped up incredibly crazy, like really incredibly crazy. I will literally take a 5-minute task that I've been doing my whole life. Okay. And it takes me 5 minutes to do it. I know it takes 5 minutes to do it. And I will look at the clock and a whole hour has gone by. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, seriously, what the hell? It's like, so we look at this stuff and we go, okay, what does this mean? Well, there's a few things. First of all, the time is just speeding up more and more and more and more. And then, like I said, we've got this thing with these multiple timelines and things are disappearing. Like I've had things that I will put, like I was telling you before we came on, I will take this selenite crystal and place it somewhere and I will leave it there forever. I won't ever touch it. And then I'll come into that room or wherever and it's just gone. And I'm like, what? Poof, gone. And it's in all, nobody in my house touched it. It didn't disappear. The cat, it's too heavy or whatever for the cat. And she doesn't go up there anyway. She doesn't even come in the room. It'll just disappear. And then the stuff will reappear again later in the same spot. This just happened to my daughter yesterday. I asked her to get me something of hers. And she said, Mom, I've been looking for it for months now, and I can't find it. And where it was originally, where she had put it, it suddenly poof reappears in the same spot where she thought it was supposed to be. And months had gone by. Like, she put it in the spot. She knew it was always in that spot. It just disappeared. And then all of a sudden it reappeared magically in the same spot where it used to be. Yeah. So those are like timeline shifts. The other thing I've noticed is people who, I'll see the news and I'll say, so-and-so died. And I'm like, but they've already been dead for 10 years, 20 years. And then I'll go into like Google and it shows, oh yeah, they just died. But I distinctively remember that person was gone 10, 20 years ago. Or I will look up somebody who I thought was alive and they've been dead. And I'm like, oh, I know this person's alive. I literally just watched them in something like that was new, like something brand new recently. And it says they've been dead. So you look at that and you scratch your head and go, what the F?
Exactly.
and what it is. And then most of the normies, they have no clue, because this happens to everyone. It's not just me. Like, you and I are not like some magical creatures, even though, yeah, we kind of are magical creatures.
We're just in tune to it. We're aware of
what's
aware happening of it.
When it
happens
gets to everybody on this earth. I think this kind of thing happens to everyone. The normie people are not tuned into it because they have no clue they can't even think for themselves. These are the people who have been wearing face diapers every day for a gazillion years and go and get 3 rounds of this thing that causes your veins to fill up with white creepy stuff and kill you, and all that kind of thing. So these are people who they can't think for themselves, so they're not going to be able to figure out the timeline shifts. But I will have conversations with these people, what I call the normies. I will have a conversation with them and they will tell me a similar story. Oh, da 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 happened, and I know I did this, and boom, blah blah blah. And I'm just in my head, I'm laughing at them. In my head, I'm like, yeah, that's the time, like vortex or time hole or wormhole or some weird time anomaly. It's an anomaly in time, in the time. Thank you. Very Star Wars, what I just heard my team. It's an anomaly in the time space continuum.
Thank you, team.
I heard that.
Thank you.
I heard that.
Thank you, team.
Yeah. So it's an anomaly in the time space continuum. So there's this time and space continuum, and it's like a weird shift, like a weird, like, it's almost like the universe farted.
Well, we're kind of just, how like when you're watching television and all of a sudden I go and then back to full, like, oh, what just happened? That's what I feel like we're going through. It's like, because my vision will get blurry and all of a sudden I feel like I'm in another dream state. And then I either have to set my intention or it will occur. All of a sudden I'm fully there and, oh, okay, that's real grass and that's really my car. And this is really me.
I've had that happen. Yeah, that's really weird. And I get hit. Do you ever get hit with these weird, creepy disease spells, like boing, oing, oing kind of thing? Like, okay, like I'll be standing and doing something, and all of a sudden it's like somebody put me inside a bell, but with no sound. So you're like off balance. All of a sudden your head is like, it feels like I'm going to fall over. And it's like this. Yeah.
Especially in the last couple days more. And then also in meditation, or if I'm doing a like an Epsom salt bath, I will go into such a spell that I literally do not know if my eyes are opened or they are closed. And then when I went to go meditate today, it happened much faster. Normally I can go a little bit cloudy really quick, but today was like just a quick look to focus on something and everything around me blanked out. And there was just what was happening in front of me. And that took me a moment or two to kind of blanket. And it's, oh, this is where I'm sitting. I'm back in 3D. Yes.
Yeah, I had it. So yesterday I actually dizzy for I don't know how long in the evening, and it was the weirdest thing. And I felt like I was either some people think they're being hit by directed energy weapons. I don't believe that, because I'm in the house with 3 people and they're not feeling what I'm feeling. So I think it's because I'm an empath. I'm a, starseed, light worker, empath, earth angel, whatever. And we can feel when the shifts are happening. I think when the time changes happen, the weird stuff happens on the earth. I think when the Schumann resonance is spiking on the planet, that's the heartbeat of earth. When that resonance is either flatlining or spiking or something, we can feel it. When we're getting hit with solar, like kind of flares, we can feel it. Anybody who is a starseed, earth angel, empath, whatever, we're all very sensitive to all these energies, and it can feel like being unbalanced, dizzy, ungrounded, kind of out of body experiences. I've had some where I literally felt like I just wasn't in my body. Like it was the weirdest, scariest thing on the face of the earth. And back before I learned about what all this was and what this, just what this is, I thought there was something wrong with me and that I was dying. Like I thought, okay, do I have like some brain cancer or what the hell's wrong with me? Like I was really scared, like terrified. So I can't even imagine if there's any normies out there that are having these weird ass experiences all the time, what is going through their head? They're probably like, oh my God, am I going to die? What's wrong? Because they don't know. I mean, that's why I wrote that book, Ascension 101, is to help those people. I have a whole section on all of the what do you want to call it, symptoms of ascension, like the dizziness and that, all that. And then the positive symptoms too, like all of a sudden you have synchronicities and you're reading your kid's mind, or when a song's coming on the radio, or you see 111, 222, 1111 all the time, those synchronicities. You're driving down the road, you see a driver's license plate angel or something, those are all the positive effects of ascending, is feeling more connected to everyone on earth, feeling like, we're all one, brother and sister, all those things. But these negative ones, I wonder how many of the humans, the normie humans out there, who are actually having these same feelings that all the starseeds are having, but they are just clueless and they're wondering, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm getting chronic headaches all of a sudden, never had them before. What is wrong with me? Am I dying? I wonder how many of them are asking themselves those questions.
Oh, I'm sure a lot. I mean, even back in the day when I didn't have the verbiage to explain what was happening, I would think the same thing. What's going on with me? What's wrong? But the difference between then and now is, well, first off, I'm a lot wiser and I know, and I've tapped into original self, but these guys are getting hit with it like 100-fold. I mean, it's not just one like, whoa, oh, what's wrong? I'm kind of dizzy 3 times this week. It's dizzy, pitching of the ear, feeling weird, all kinds of odd things that are
all
going
the
on
time.
with them.
Body aches and pains they never had before, like
bizarre dreams that they don't know that it could be past life. It could be where they've gone at night. It could be bits and pieces of this and that. They don't understand there's different players and how to handle, but I'm sure there's many.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of clients that are, they're starseeds, but they're not psychic, they don't have psychic abilities, and they're doing stuff like traveling out of their body at night, and they don't know what that is. Like they don't, because they're not psychic. So they come to me and they go, this is happening. What does it mean? Like the other night I had a lady who never dreams, doesn't remember her dreams. Well, it turns out that she's actually a fractal of an oversoul that's up on a ship. And the fractal of that soul is in the body having the experiences on Earth, Pleiadian. And the Pleiadian that's up on the ship is gathering information about, it's kind of like a spy. She's like keeping tabs on what's happening on Earth. And then the oversoul is up there monitoring through that fractal of her that's having this human experience. This is a thing there, because your soul, I talked about that in the book too, but your soul can fractal, and they actually showed it in Hollywood. This is what pisses me off more than anything, Sandra, is Hollywood knows all the Freemason people, all those, Illuminatis and all that, they know about all these things, and they throw it in our face through Hollywood movies over and over and over again. So Harry Potter, Lord Voldemort breaks his soul into 12 Horcruxes and hides them all over the freaking time-space continuum. And they have to go into other dimensions to find them and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Your soul, you can take a fractal of yourself and you can place it in a human body and have experiences through that fractal. And so she's sitting there and saying, well, I'm not dreaming. And it's because I told her that's because you're not fully in your body. You're like just this little fractal operating in consciousness, operating the body. And then at night, that fractal is actually leaving and rejoining up with the main one
frame. Yeah, the main frame, I call it.
Yeah, of the computer of them, to give them all the feedback of what went on and what's happening and and then coming back. And I said, what happens is then your memory gets wiped before you come back in, because you chose, because there is an operating system for that. Some of them remember what they saw. I know I have lots of clients who they remember going up on the ship and they remember everything happening and they remember the whole thing. They remember fighting out there in a battle and on and on and on. Majority of the people have no freaking clue what the heck's happening to them. They just wake up and they're just black, like, oh my God, I don't understand why I never dream. I'm just black. You know, it's just, there's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. And that's why a lot of the people, and some of the people, the reason that you're not dreaming and it's black is because when you're going out and you're doing stuff, it's so horrific that so think about your human mind and the fact that most humans can't deal with trauma and stress. Okay. We just can't deal with that. And so if let's say you're going in tunnels, because like I had some clients who at night they're going in the tunnels and they're getting rid of spider creatures and insect creatures and all these scary monsters, right? Dragons, all kinds of. Could you imagine, you're seeing kids who are, you're seeing stacks of body parts of children and humans, and you're seeing all this horrific, like horrible, gruesome, traumatic stuff that would make people go crazy. Like military people are going AWOL from this stuff that are going down there. That's how horrific, because I've heard soldiers recount stories of what they saw down there and saying that a lot of these soldiers commit suicide later or whatever, because they can't deal. It's just too much to deal with what they saw. So our human mind snaps really easily. It can't deal. It's very little bit of stuff that can push you to psychosis or suicide or whatever. So what happens is a lot of people are having really traumatic experiences when they leave at night, and then they're wiping their slate clean and coming back in, and they don't remember anything for a reason, because that particular human brain wouldn't be able to handle what it was doing and what it was involved in. It would cause that human to have a breakdown or commit suicide or go psychotic.
Or seizures. They just can't handle it. Your nervous system, nothing can handle it. You're trying to cram the whole power plant into a small plug. It can only handle so much.
Right.
We're generators, but we're not meant to hold that much until we learn how to process, let go, process. Right. But when you're going out and doing what you're talking about, that would, and we were talking earlier about what I was talking about last night, going out of my body and going into someone else's and trying to change something, and then witnessing them being shot to death and then me being shot to death. And a lot of people couldn't handle that. I mean, I woke up this morning going, okay, so I had to remember all of that, did I?
Yeah. It's really awful. And there's some of us who do that. I call it quantum leap. So the show Quantum Leap, again, this is another Hollywood bullshit thing. They made a show showing you about a real thing, which is called quantum leaping. There are people, they do it both in the military projects with this, but then there's normal humans who are, not normal humans, but people like us that are here, light workers, earth angels that are able to do that quantum leap thing. We can leave at night, a fractal of ourselves our consciousness can go into somebody, fix the situation, save their life. maybe save a young woman from being kidnapped and horrible things happen to her, or save somebody from being shot or killed or something like that. But every now and then the bad guys, because all the bad guys, they have their future, they have their technology where they can see future and they can go in and change events. And then you even have bad guys that are from the future who are coming back to our time and causing trouble. So you've got a lot of time, a lot of people, excuse my language, effing with our whole time space continuum. I think they call that temporal wars. I don't know. I'm not a what do you call it? Quantum scientist.
Physics.
Okay. I'm not a quantum physics scientist. So I can't explain the meaning of the temporal wars that are going on, but there are temporal wars that have been going on for a really long time between the good ETs and the bad ETs. This has been going on, I guess, for billions of years, because they all have this time changing equipment. They can morph anything they want, bend anything they want.
Yeah, that's the quantum Satanists. That's the
yeah. And they can do it. And, just like, okay, so people who are watching, you may or may not know this already, you may have heard it on my channel or other people's channels, that the bad guys were able to actually look into their Project Looking Glass back many years ago and see us ascending and see us going through this ascension. So they've been going out of their way to distract us and block us from ascending. So what do? They create pandemics. They create more wars. They create more problems on Earth. They use weather weaponry to flood out all of New South Wales, Australia. That's going on right now. That wasn't a natural occurrence. There's all these unnatural things. This La Palma or whatever volcano that was in the ocean. That was all directed, energy weaponry. They have all kinds of weapons for changing and manipulating.
Oh yeah, the Canary Islands. Oh, it's going to blow. It's going to blow, and then all of a sudden, nothing. You hear nothing. It's like
okay. And they're okay. So the way I think of it is, remember the show Roadrunner and Coyote. Remember Coyote and Roadrunner? It's a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It reminds me of them trying to trip each other up. So the Roadrunner is running down the road really fast, and the Coyote is tossing stuff in his way to trip him up and make him fall so that he can kill him, right? This is what they're doing. They keep throwing out another wrench in the system and another one to block our ascension. That's all they do. It's like they focus all their energy on blocking humanity's ascension. And it's really pathetic, because we were supposed to actually ascend 2000 years ago. Christ was here teaching how to ascend. He was actually teaching that. He wrote an entire book all of his own, which they got a hold of and they got rid of so that we couldn't see all of that. They got rid of 700 books out of the Bible that explained a lot of things, about ET, all kinds of stuff. They took 700 books out because they don't want you to know that, because they don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to ascend. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want you to be a slave to their matrix system for all eternity, which it's ending. They're not going to be allowed to do this anymore.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what would we say to those people who are not quite awakened yet, but they know something is happening to them, around them, that seems bizarre? They can't quite put it in a beginning, middle, or end of a story, but they've got bits and pieces. I know for me, I have a lot of clients that I coach, and I'm getting more and more people remembering being abducted and going up on ships. And we've been able to really ground and work through that. And I've had a couple of them be able to say, whatever I contracted to do before, I no longer will do, and be able to cut it and then turn into another part of their intended soul journey, so that's been happening too. So what would we say to, those out there that are like, I don't know what is going on with me, but I think I'm having like a brain tumor, or something's happening, or the aches and the pains. Because listen, I feel like I'm pretty wise to it all, and I'm still going through a lot of it myself, but I have a better understanding of it, so I don't freak out. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. Okay, whew. Guide team, I need a closer spiritual hug, please. That's what I tell them. come on in.
So, you know, if people are still asleep, it's almost impossible to say anything to them, because when I have tried in the past, they've looked at me straight in my eyes and go, "You're crazy." Look at me.
And then you go, that'll be $350. Bye.
Yeah. They like, you know, the people who are still totally like asleep. I don't work with those people. They're not my clients. I'm talking about like in my neighborhood or people I meet,
I know
you
what
know,
you
when
meant.
they're bitching about da da da, I'll say, "Oh, well, that's just blah." And they'll look at me and go, "You're crazy." You know, they'll do that. And so those people, honestly, there's nothing you can do for them. Now, if you happen to know somebody is awake, they know what the word ascension means, or they kind of have a clue about what's going on. They know about the Great Awakening, or let's say they don't know the word ascension because they're not because that word's in the Bible. Okay. Christ ascended, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
So Christians all know what ascension means. All right. So it's real easy for me to explain it to them. A Buddhist may not know the word. A Muslim person may not know the word. There's a lot of people out there who may not know that word. So you could use the word Great Awakening because it means the same thing. It's basically the same thing as the Great Awakening is the Ascension. It's all the same thing. It's just more of a Americanized, patriotic, whatever term that they gave to the Ascension is really what that is. The Great Awakening, that's what they call it. So you can use that with people who don't understand ascension, and you can say, you know, those weird achy body aches that you're having that, you know, you went to the doctor and they basically said nothing's wrong with you. Yeah, that's ascension or the Great Awakening. You know, you can explain that to
You're
them.
awakening your cells and your body's aching because of it, because it's trying to let go
body's
of what it no longer
shifting.
serves, and it's trying to expand.
shifting.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
you're purging out all your traumas, all your shadow side of yourself, all of your human issues, and your body's changing. How is it changing? Well, first of all, your DNA is being activated from 2 strands all the way back up to 12. I say back up to 12 because we used to be 12 until the bad ETs mucked with our DNA. And then I will always tell them that you're also changing from carbon-based to crystalline, because the people who are here on Earth were crystalline. The ETs are all crystalline. They made us carbon-based so that they could make us sick and kill us, because when you are crystalline and 12 strand, there is no viruses. There are no diseases. There are no cancers. There aren't any of that kind of stuff. Your body can't get anything. The worst thing that would happen to you when we're 12 strand and crystalline is you fall down and go boom, and you scrape up your elbow, or you break an arm, or you hurt, or you're in a car accident, or you're hit by a train. And if you survive that, then they stick you in some technology and they repair it, or we're going to be self-repairing, because once we are 12 strand and crystalline, you will be able to self-repair. So like if you get a cut, you'll be able to just look at the cut and go, "I love you, finger. You are now healthy and whole," and boom. Your finger will be all perfect again. So you'll be able to self-heal. You'll grow tooth. If you lose a tooth, a new one will just grow right back in. Gelly Lucy's talked about this. There's a whole bunch of people, even the guy who's creating the celestial chambers right now. They got the schematics from the ETs, and they're trying to build. They're not called med beds. Okay. They keep calling them med beds. That's actually a med bed is a Tesla thing. That's an Earth thing. And it's totally different from the celestial ones that are from the ETs that have this technology that can regenerate your whole body, can make you back to 20 years old again, can make you immortal. He actually said they have machines that can make you immortal, where you just stay in this body forever from now on. But they actually do mental counseling with people, they said, because it affects your mental, like they're like, do you really want to go back to 20? Because it's going to change, your whole life's going to change and all that. Like your family is not going to see you. Like, what if you have great grandchildren and all of a sudden grandpa's like looking 20? It may traumatize people, you know what I mean? So they have to counsel you on all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting. But I listened to this guy's name's Jared Rand, and he basically said that they have all the schematics. They're trying to build a prototype right now. They're already working on it, but they need financing so that they can do testing and they can build more, and they need to build some replicator. They're going to build this replicating device. Once they build the replicating device, they can make millions of those celestial chambers.
Right.
So, but they need the money for it. Here's the problem is, who do you think? Okay, first of all, if they go
they're getting resistance.
Yeah, they're getting resistance. So because the richest people who have the funding for this are all bad. Okay, there's very few, basically from what he said, there's very few people who are actual billionaires on this planet who have any moral value whatsoever. They're almost all cabal, corrupt. Okay. So their problem is finding the money from financiers who aren't evil, who do want for the good of humanity and are trying to do service to humanity. They're having a hard time getting that kind of funding, to build it, which I understand. It makes sense to me. And I never really thought about that, because you know how they say that money corrupts people. Well, think about the fact that it's not the money that corrupts the people. However, in order to become a multi-billionaire type of a person, you have to do some really nasty things on earth to get to that place. Not nice things.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And then to speak what you're talking about with the DNA changing and explaining that to your clients and so on. Some people will say, what do you mean genetic altering? What do you mean this has been going on? I'm like, okay, let's take this into reality here. What about your plants and vegetables? They're crossed all the time. I said, what about the dogs and the cats? Oh, it's a cockadoodle or this or that. I said, how do you think that's happening? They're not physically mating them. They're taking their DNA and genetically and someone was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. I said, okay, take it one step further. Your GMO food, your genetically modified foods. You know about those, right? I said, well, this has been going on forever and ever and ever.
Yep. And if you've taken one of these in the arm, you are now genetically modified.
Yeah, you're now locked into
you
that.
Are now a GMO. You are now a GMO. So
yes. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
But
once you bring it down to like, okay, well, if this is what's happening, and then bring it into what's happening in real life and just bring it into flowers, plants, GMO foods, fish, all those things, it starts to have people think, and they begin to awaken to the possibility that these things are going on. And then boom, now you have a customer. What I mean by that is now you have somebody that's willing to listen, right? You're not out there soliciting yourself. Now someone has come to you, they have an issue, you're bringing something to life, and now you have a customer because their lights are on. They're like, oh, okay, well, tell me more. And so we're helping them in that way. You help them in your practice, I help them in mine. But there's a lot going on that even for me, I'm unable to explain. It's like taking a senior and trying to explain something I'm learning as a senior to a first grader. So we have to be careful how much we're saying, because whoop, and then they're like, click, like, bye-bye. Like it's too much.
I had to be really careful with people. The one thing, I'm really fortunate because I have the abilities. I have all of the different, empath and intuitive and psychic and clairvoyant and clairaudient and all that kind of stuff. Because I have that, I can kind of feel through a person to see what are they ready for, what are they not ready for, that kind of thing. So, and in the olden days, I used to be very impetuous. When I was really young, I was very I would just do it, just do stuff and wouldn't think. I would do before I would think. And now I think before I do. So I evaluate the situation first before I take any action. So I listen to what they have to say. I scan their energy to see where are they at on this spectrum, because if they're not ready for it, I can modulate what comes out of my mouth. I can I can change what I say so that it's more
different.
Yeah, so that
it's along the frequency level of their understanding.
Yeah, they're
kindergarten. I totally get it.
Energy level. So if they're at kindergarten consciousness level, let's put it that way. If they're a kindergarten consciousness level versus a college graduate consciousness, which is an old soul, somebody, and if you ask, well, who is that? Kindergarten consciousness are young souls. And they're people who don't maybe have absolutely no intuition or psychic abilities or anything whatsoever. Okay. But then you have the college grads, who are they? They're people who are highly psychic and or very old souls. They've been around the block, a long time. They've had multiple incarnations here and other places out in space time continuum.
Yeah, and to the kindergarten thing, that just means you haven't had a lot of lifetimes on this earth plane to have the experiences as, say, someone who is in high school or college grad, because everything is learned, skilled before you master it. You got to practice until you get it. And so, we're not all child prodigies. We don't all come in with everything in here. I mean,
not at all.
I don't care how old the soul is. We're all still learning new things too.
I didn't come in with everything. Like, people always think, I was just born the way I am. Honestly, I wasn't. I was born with some intuition and a little bit of the empathic thing and the intuition, but that's about it. All of the other stuff exploded when I gave birth to my children, because I had,
they awaken you.
When I did a natural childbirth, I had what they call like a Kundalini, like awakening thing. And so all that energy. And so going through the whole birthing process, for a lot of women, it's not just me. I've talked to tons of women who said that after they had babies, like, your body changes, your chemistry changes, your brain changes, and your psychic powers suddenly start to explode. And that's what happened to me. I mean, I was literally standing in the closet one day in the pantry looking for food for my kid. And my kids were just little ones. They were in their little jumpy things, their little jump up, whatever you call those things, bouncy things.
Bouncy chairs.
Yeah, they're bouncy chairs. Yeah. They were in there. And I started hearing the heavenly choir singing.
And you're probably like, oh my God.
And I thought I was losing it because, well, first I thought there was a radio on somewhere in the house. So I ran around the house like a crazy pants looking for a radio playing angelic music. Couldn't find anything at all. Couldn't find anything. And then I kind of checked in, and then I just asked the question, what am I hearing? And I literally heard a voice speak to me and say, then that's the angel choir. And the reason that I was hearing them is because when I'm not in this physical form, guess where I am? I'm part of that choir. I'm up there singing. I'm a choir member. Okay. Dang it. And it's funny because I've sung with choirs since I was.
Yeah, because you've got a great voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a trained opera singer. A lot of people don't know that about me.
It's beautiful.
I'm a trained opera singer. Yeah. One of these days, I've been practicing O mio Babbino Caro by Puccini, which is one of the most difficult pieces to sing when you're a soprano. I'm a what they call a mezzo soprano. So I'm number 2. So I can't hit those really, really high notes. I don't do the glass breaking notes very good, but I'm just slightly lower than the high. But anyways, I've been practicing that. And one of these days I'm going to make a video singing that song, because it's such a high frequency when I sing that it like raises the vibration of everything around me for like 20 miles. So I'm going to do that. But I started singing with choirs when I was 10 and never ever stopped until my kids were a certain age. I was still singing with the church choir at the Catholic church when they hit a certain age. And then it just my life was just too busy, because that was at the point in my life where I had to start driving them to all their sporting.
Sure. Oh yeah. It's a full-time job.
Yeah. And so then I had to give something up. So I had to give up the choir thing, but I've never ever given up singing. If I can't sing, I get mad. Like, the worst thing I hate about getting a cold that's always upset me is then I can't sing when I have a cold. And it's like, I don't care less about getting a cold. It doesn't bother me. It's just a cold. I still live my life. Vocals. Yeah. It's just the thing I hate about getting sick is I'm not able to sing. So anytime I'm not able to sing or hum or whatever, that makes me mad. I don't like that. I want to be able to sing, because I'm a choir angel. So.
Yeah. But back to your point about the Kundalini, after having your children and them in the bouncy chairs and you reaching in the pantry, your clear audio was on to something that you were familiar with, although it seemed very strange at the moment.
Yeah.
I always tell people I came in with all my body parts, but I have a few spaces up here. And then later I'd say I came in with all my body parts, with a few spaces, they're being filled with new cells. So watch out. Watch out.
Yeah. Well, and then from that point forward, Sandra, my clairaudience just exploded, and then it got bigger. And then I started hearing, everything and everyone, and, I just all kinds of stuff like.
Now, do you hear the outer clear audio or the inner or both?
I hear both.
That could drive you a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't happen very often though for me. So no, I have some friends where it's turned on 24/7, and that would make me insane. Mine comes and goes when it needs to, like for the highest good, I guess.
Yeah.
So it comes through if I'm counseling somebody, like I could be counseling somebody and the whole time get nothing because I have years of experience, and I'm also intuitive and empathic. I mean, there's a lot of different tools I pull out of my tool belt when I'm helping people. So I don't need to have like I don't need to channel. I don't need to do that. Like people will talk about channeling, because channeling is very dangerous. I tell nobody, don't go looking to try to channel, because it's really dangerous. You can get taken over by demonic entities.
Yes.
The channeling I do just naturally has been happening for many years, where I will be speaking to you something, and all of a sudden I'll start saying words out of my mouth that they're not coming from me. They're coming from
it's like an automatic flip, and it's straight from the higher self.
Mine is straight from
and you know it because you just know it. You know the difference.
Yeah, I know the difference. And all of the words that come out are healing, they're encouraging, they're uplifting, they're helpful. None of it's ever been fear-based. None of it's ever been mean. None of it's ever been evil. None of it's ever been dark or negative. None of it is fear, because I tell people always how you discern whether an entity is of the light or of the dark is everything that you get or receive or hear will always be loving and uplifting and positive and good. The minute there's one fear thing in, and just remember, the devil will tell you 99 truths to sneak in one lie. So you'll have these people on YouTube who they seem like a wonderful psychic, and they go on, and all of a sudden they throw this one little thing in there. And the one little thing is very bad. Very bad. Like all of a sudden they're saying, oh, and by the way, Jesus never really existed. He was made up, or, something like that. They'll throw that in there after you've been following them because they get you hooked following them. And, oh, I like what she's saying. It's real. And that happened to me several times where I had people I was following, and all of a sudden it's like they flipped a switch and something came out of their mouth that was so vile, I couldn't even believe it. And I was like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm done.
Yeah, but the beautiful thing is you recognize it. I mean, I turned so many people off. I mean, I just was like, delete. I just like delete. I could spot it, what they would say a mile away, but I can just detect it. And it's like, all I say is thank you. They seem like a wonderful person, but they're definitely, their antenna's corrupted. It's cracked. There's something happening, intentionally, not intentionally. And I have to delete them. I take them off of my everything until maybe they might pop up another time, and spirit will say, you can listen to them now. Like they've been cleaned up, so to speak. Or maybe not at all. But there's a lot out there trying to get you to follow them. And they'll tell you all the little lovely things you want to hear, and they'll match what somebody else is saying. And then they collect all these followers, and then, that's what we call programming.
Exactly.
If somebody's not on there, like you and I were just talking about, with healthy responses and helpful responses, and for their highest good responses and empowering responses, we're not telling them what to do. We're giving suggestions, or maybe our experience, or what we're picking up from them.
Yeah.
And then what they do with it is theirs. So there's a big difference between that and saying, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is what you're going to do, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, whoa, they're brainwashed. And so many people are followers that they're taken advantage of. They just slip right down that road, and until they awaken and realize, oh, wow, I just went down the wrong path. And if they spend less time trying to kick their own butt, which is, I always say, God put your ass on the backside, so you did not spend your lifetime kicking it. But then again, you don't spend the time kicking others as well.
Absolutely. And, my favorite example, I'm not going to say her name, but there was a psychic person, whatever, who claims that they talk to ETs that was on there. And
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. And I was following her for a really long time, until one day she starts saying and she called him Jesus, which I know is a no-no, because if they're a true psychic, they know that's not his name.
Exactly.
His name is Yeshua. If you call him Jesus, that's the Cabal term created in the Geneva Bible in the 1700s to.
That's probably why I could never say it all my life. I only say it as a generic name for people to understand who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
But if they're really truly a psychic, they would not refer to him as that over and over and over again, because they're basically saying the name Lucifer over and over and over, because it's the same gematria. So anyways, the thing is that the minute I hear them doing that, and then what this lady said was that his mother was impregnated by ETs in a ship. Such bullshit. I just wanted to scream. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not listening to her ever again.
Yeah, but you get them in disguises as being the ones that are prophetic. Mm-hmm. I'm prophetic because I'm this, and I'm quoting the book because I'm this. And if you're not doing that, then you're wrong. And that's not correct either. Mm-hmm. That's not correct either, because I don't call myself prophetic or psychic. I get my downloads and my message through claircognizant, have all my life. I own it. And I have a very difficult time quoting anything religious, even growing up that way. So when someone says to me in a group of friends, well, I get mine straight, he talks straight to me and I'm prophetic. And if you say psychic, then you're wrong. And it's like, it's all the same thing. It's different terminologies on how you use it and what your intention is. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with people that name that thing, things like that.
Well, I don't want to call myself a psychic either. I just say that I have certain gifts that I've been given, and I'm empathic, I'm intuitive, I have clairaudience, clairsentience, because when you use the word psychic, then immediately I have people emailing me wanting me to talk to their dead relatives, and that's a psychic medium.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
I'm not a psychic medium. I can't I don't see or talk to dead people. That's not, I don't want to. It's awful. I don't even want to go there, because once you open up that can of worms, everywhere you go, you see the ghosts. You could go into a downtown area and you will see hundreds of them. I mean, or you can go to some old home built in the 1800s. And I mean, you'll see them. I'm a travel person. I love to see the world and travel all over the world. If I had that medium thing going on, you wouldn't be enjoying life. I wouldn't be able to enjoy my vacation, because do you know that those ghosts know who can see them, and they will all come up to you with all their problems. And you know why I know this? Because I have somebody very close to me who used to be able to see them everywhere she went, and it gave her massive anxiety attacks, because they all know you can see them and they all come up to you. And as she claimed, wanted to show you their SHIT is how she put it. They all want to show you how they died, their life story, because they know you can see them and they want help, and they're reaching out for help because they're trapped in the matrix in between here and the light. They're like, it's purgatory, basically. They're stuck in purgatory. And I would never want that ability to see, dead people. I wouldn't want that in a million years, especially because I travel. I mean, like, I went to the Tower of London in England, which is one of the most haunted places in the world. I couldn't even imagine seeing all the headless specters walking around. It would make me want to vomit, because they look like they did when they died, so you wouldn't want to see all that gruesome, they're pulled apart on the rack, or what, you don't want to see that.
Well, that's Hollywood has torn that apart too. They've made it like so good or horrifically horrible. So anything that's been like, just stay away from it, because it will drain your main energy. And so back to what you were saying with the fact that you have these gifts, and I get it, because I have some of them, developing more, but that's because you've been on the earth plane and other planets for many times, working it, mastering it. And you can't have all masters walking the earth right now. We have to have some who can have taken the time to awaken and master what they came in with. And then you have those that are like, I need a little more. It will be like high school being all math. Everyone's a great math student, but then someone needs to help you with English. Someone needs to be good at this. Someone needs to be good at that. And we all have the skill to build up and be great at all of it, but we have to awaken and accept the fact where we are. So it's not like we're bragging when we go, oh, I can message this and I can get that. We are saying we've come here on many different levels and many different lifetimes So we have that ability to assist you, never to do harm, because that's the number one thing. And that means, and I just had this experience the other day, is you kind of want to say something, but then you're told, back it up, back it up, back it up.
Yeah.
But if you're in your human self and you're getting like kind of frustrated because maybe they're not getting it, you can't blurt it out because you can't unsay it. So you have to really respect the energy and the messages that come through before.
That's hard work.
It is. Trust me, it's a daily thing.
I have a real challenge with that because I so badly really want to help everyone. And
I know,
I'll
but
be
we
in
can't
line.
fix them.
I know. And I'll be in line at the supermarket and I'll hear somebody complaining about some health problem because I'm a health coach too. And I'm a medical intuitive. And so I've been studying how to heal the body 37 years. So I will have somebody behind me at the supermarket and I'll hear them complaining about some health issue. And I know in my head that I know the cure to that. Like I could cure them in 5, and it's not me curing them, it's them. I could tell them what to do. Here's what you do to cure yourself. You know, I'm a teacher, so I'm going to teach them what they need to do that. I so badly want to tell them, and I have to like fight myself. Like I have inner demons going on where I'm fighting myself going, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And there's this big argument because I so badly want to go, excuse me, have you tried da, 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 da. I so badly want to say that. And I can't. I just can't because I made a promise to myself. Yeah, I made a promise to myself.
It's because we want to help everyone. That's the healer within us. That's why. But we can't infringe upon their free will by throwing our suggestions because they're not ready to hear it. They're not even on a vibratory place where they can receive it. They're going to want to be looking at you and they'll run for the hills and never listen to something like that again. Right. I get it.
But let me tell you, Sandra, I had an experience where I was in a health food store, and this is where I can help somebody. So if somebody comes to me and asks me a question, I will always tell them the answer, always. Okay. I was in a health food store and I'm having a conversation with the manager and I'm talking about all the stuff. And this lady who's a customer overhears me, comes up to me, wants my help and asks me, hey, I overheard you. Can you help me with da, 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 da? And I'm like, sure. Why? Because she overheard me and she could see I had expertise on that subject because I was educating the store guy who had no clue. He was clueless. He was just a worker selling all these supplements he knew nothing about. And so I was like giving him a medical education on his own supplements. She overheard, came, asked me for help. Of course, anytime anyone comes to me for help, if I know the answer, you damn well better bet I'm going to answer and help them because that's what I'm here for. Now, there are occasions because I'm a human and I'm not perfect and I don't know it all. There are occasions. You're not perfect? Yeah. There are occasions where clients will say, can you help me with this? Or do you know the answer to that? Or da, 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 da. And I'll go, I'm very honest. If I can't do, because I'm a perfectionist too, I have to do it 100% or nothing for me. Okay. So if I'm even a little bit unsure about something, I'll say, nope, I'd prefer you go to my friend so-and-so. Like, for example, I don't help people deal with trauma. It's not my thing. I send them to Sarah Nash of the White Light Express, Reverend Sarah Nash, who's my best friend and sister, but she's an amazing trauma counselor. That's like her specialty. She is so awesome at healing grief and trauma. Those are her things. I can't do that for people. And I will be very honest and say, no, I can't help you clear when you were raped, when you were 13. I can't do. It's not your specialty and you recognize that. Yeah. Because I have a lot of women coming to me now who were sexually abused by fathers, by family members, by neighbors, by stepdads, or they were kidnapped, or they were part of SRA, the sexual ritual, whatever that is, or they were in the tunnel. They were part of the tunnels. They were those kids. I'm healing a lot of them, doing a lot of work with them. But when it comes to getting over their trauma, I can help them with where are you at right now? Where do you need to be? But if they need to go back and heal all that trauma, I can't do that with them. So then I send them off. So I know my limits and I'm able to stand in my truth 100% and know what I know, but what I don't know, I'm not going to tell you I know it because then I'm not being in my integrity if I do that. And my boss told me back in 2011, he said, you're supposed to be using all these gifts that the creator gave you to help people. But he said, the minute that you use them for darkness, anything negative or bad, or you lie or you do anything, he said, they will be taken away from you just as quickly as they were given to you. That's what he said. And so everything I do it with 100% love and integrity and truth, standing in my truth. He's touching me on my head.
I was going to say, somebody getting on your head there.
He's right there. And he's like he's going, yep, good. He's proud of me. He's letting me know he's proud of me. So sorry, I'm going to get like, anyways, I try. So, yeah, okay. I just try to stand in my integrity because I want him to be proud of me. I want her to be proud of me. I want them to be proud of me. And so I'm always, if I don't know the answer to something, I will say,
network them out.
Yeah.
You network them to where they need to be, because we want them to be, to get to where they need to be. And we want them to be the healthiest and that they can be. And if we can't, it's not in our wheelhouse or our toolbox, and to admit, I don't know. And I know what I don't know. Therefore, I'm not going to attempt what I don't know, because again, do no harm. And so it's nice when we can have, a network of people to say, I really think that you would have better success at this moment at this level with such and such. Afterwards, if you want to come back and it's something I can help you want to call and talk to me about it, that's fine too. They respect you for that, because we respect the energy. I mean, we live and breathe it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. We have no time to correct a mistake because we jumped on something that we knew we should not have jumped on. We've learned that on many lifetimes, sister.
Yeah. My husband and my son and I were watching a show the other night. It is Penn and Teller, those two, funny, they're comedian magician guys.
The one doesn't talk, right?
Yeah. And they have a show called Bullshit, and they're revealing like medical like phony stuff, like using magnets on your body, and like, and they're ousting all the bad guys. They're continuing the work for what's his name, who was also a magician, who went and exposed all the fraudulent because he was taken advantage of. Harry Houdini. So Harry Houdini was taken advantage of or something by a phony psychic. And so he actually quit his job as an illusionist for a while and went around the US and world and whatever, exposing phony spiritualists back then, psychic mediums. Penn and Teller decided they want to do the same thing in honor of Harry Houdini. So they have a show now, and they swear their mouths off in that show. It's on cable TV. It's on like an alternate station, but you can watch it on the TV. It's called Penn and Teller's Bullshit. I love it. Bullshit or something like that.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it, but they were exposing fraudulent psychic mediums who take advantage of people whose loved ones have passed away. And they called out two really specific ones on the TV, which I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to get in trouble, but there's two TV ones that are big phonies. And they explained how they're able to give the information, which I was in full agreement on that, because there are so many false spiritual people and psychics that are total phony, because it's really easy to deduct info from people. And I've been to people where I went to them for a reading for myself, and they were such a phony. They were just extrapolating info about me, taking that info, like they'd ask me a question about myself, and then they turn it into a way to say, oh, you blah, 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 blah. And, they use it. Yeah. So they're really, really cunning, and they make it appear like, oh, they know the answer, but they don't really know the answer. I mean, it just blew me away. And then they had phony medicine that they were exposing, and just a whole list of things that they were exposing. It was incredible. So people need to really and this is the one thing I do teach, by the way, is I do teach my clients how to discern and how to become their own intuitive to know who the bullshitters are and who aren't. And there's multiple ways you can do it. You can do it through your body. You can do it through your senses. You can do it through learning how to be clairaudient. You can do it through a pendulum. Which is why I offer a pendulum class. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can discern, but that's one of the biggest things that I teach my clients, is how to discern who are the liars and who is speaking the truth.
Yeah.
It's really,
That's
really
awesome.
important because I don't want them to get taken advantage of. I'm like a mama bear. Every time I reincarnate, I am very motherly. I have that divine mother energy thing going on, and I just want to mother everyone, and I want everyone to feel safe and loved and protected. That's my thing. And so my biggest thing is teaching people the skills they need to be their own guru, which means GURU. You don't need a psychic to go to get answers. You can be your own psychic. You just have to learn the steps and the techniques and the tools to do that.
Well, we have our own inner GPS, God Protective Services, and that's information coming in, information coming out. That's what empath means. Yeah. It's one of the first things you learn as a child, how to read the energy through the body. And most people, unfortunately, are not taught that, so it develops into anxiety and so many other things that could be avoided. And I think we're here to help people maybe not have as many stumbling blocks from childhood all the way up. But right now, we've also got to work with those who have come in who have been tripped up, but need to awaken now and take responsibility for their action and have courage for that. So I admire you for what you're doing. And I get it totally that we can't just, like fix this. We know the answer. It's like, no, zip it. And that's hard. I know. I've actually broken out a little bit of a sweat a few times going, I so want to. Let me do an NP.
I just can't, because I can't infringe on their free will, because I call that infringing on their free will.
Yeah.
And
they're not appreciative when you do it anyway.
They never appreciate it. So when I was young and impetuous, I did do it regularly, and every time it backfired on me. And so I learned and said, nope, no more. They don't appreciate it, or they call you crazy pants or this or that. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So anyone who comes to me anywhere in the world, I've actually had people in foreign places. I've been on vacation and had people come to me out of the clear blue. They just attract to me, my light, and they share their whole life story with me, and they want my advice. And, they just look at me and think I look like somebody who knows, the answer or whatever. And I've had people do it. I mean, I'll never forget the first time this happened, really big time, when I was traveling, was in London, England. And I was only 20 something years old. And my husband and I were there on a trip, and he wanted to go see the Churchill war rooms. And I didn't want to go into the Churchill war rooms because I hate war. I just don't like war. I don't want to focus on that. Right. So I sat in Hyde Park on a bench and waited for him and his friend to go do the war room thing. And this big German lady comes and sits down next to me. She spoke hardly any English at all, and she is just bawling her eyes out. And she just wanted somebody to love her and mother her. And she had followed this guy. She fell in love with this guy in Germany, followed him over to the UK, and then he dumped her.
Oh.
Yeah, she left everything and gave up everything for this guy, followed him all the way to London, and he threw her out onto the street.
She just wanted to tell you the whole story.
Yeah. And she wanted to tell, and she wanted somebody to give her advice. She was begging me, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. And she was just terrified. Absolutely. I wound up counseling her for, I think they were in that museum for an hour or two, maybe.
Goodness.
Yeah. And free counseling session right there, man, because I started.
Yeah, no language barriers there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I've got to sign off here.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's right. You have another video.
I do. So,
okay. I'll let you go.
Kimberly, we know our information viewers will be in the description, and please reach out to us. We're happy to help you on this. Yes. It doesn't have to be unpleasant. It doesn't have to be. If you can get some tools in your toolbox from people you can trust that really truly care about the outcome, and we have to answer to the higher power. As you'll learn, you will as well. And if we can help you get past some of this, or at least have some understanding and compassion with it, you're going to find that the rest of this ascension and awakening can be a little bit more enjoyable. It doesn't have to be miserable. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I do. So the news is just full of fear, and it's all distractions to block your ascension. So just know that everything is going to be good. Actually, by the end of this year, 2023 is going to be fantastic. I guarantee.
Yes, it is.
And there's nothing to be scared of. We've got this. We've already won. We got it. Everything is going to be great. There's nothing to fear. So all of the things that you see unfolding on the TV, don't go down those rabbit holes. And it's even on social media. And there's even people in the truther community that are spreading fear like crazy. Yeah. So don't buy into the fear because it drags your vibration down. So stay present, stay in the present moment, and focus on what am I eating? What am I drinking? What am I doing right now? Who am I talking to? Just really stay in the moment and create joy all day long and happiness, and maybe write a joy calendar up for yourself and have like pencil yourself into that calendar and say every day at 2 p.m. I'm going to go dance and sing, or I'm going to watch a comedy show, or I'm going to take a bubble bath, and make time for yourself every day for self-care, and more self-care, and doing things that literally make you want to dance and sing, like, you know, literally creating that joy and happiness, because that is going to overwhelm and load the darkness. It's going to get rid of all the darkness and squash it like a bug, because if you just fill every little inch and corner up with joy, there's no room for the darkness to come in. So that is my recommendation, is just like fill every day up that you can. You know, of course you have to work at a job or whatever, but whenever you have a free moment, do something that makes you feel good. If it's eating food that makes you feel good, if it's sipping a wine that makes you feel good, if it's watching some comedy show you like that makes you laugh, that's fine. Just do things that are going to uplift you always, and literally fill all of your space and time with that, so that there's no room for the fear to creep in. And that is
absolutely. And then when you unplug with all of that and do all of the suggestions Kimberly's saying, you're neutralizing all of that, and then you're raising it. So now it has a whole different everything. And right now our health is the most important thing, and staying aligned with that. And if you're dipping into lower frequencies, you're asking for a lot of discord within the body, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and discord will wind up to being disconnected in some ways to what the real truth is. And right now, just trust that everything is being played out the way it needs to be played out. The thing is self-care, and be as strong as you can possibly be, so that whatever waves of wind or so come around, you're strong and you can assist yourself and assist others. And if you need any help, please reach out to one of us. And much love, and we'll see you on the next show. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye.
All right, it stopped.